The morning sun cut across the site like a blade of gold, spilling light over tangled wires, stacks of conduit, and the dusty floor. Yesterday we fought the ghosts of short circuits and the puzzles of troubleshooting. Today Harris called us together, his face grave, tools in his hand, only a clipboard with the project schedule pinned to it. Harris: today's lesson is not about wires. It is about discipline. We looked at each other, confused. Discipline, Kevin muttered under his breath, thinking it meant punishment. John, discipline, you mean punishment for mistakes? Harris shook his head slowly. Harris, not punishment. Discipline means order, consistency, and responsibility. Without discipline, this site collapses into chaos. He slapped the project schedule on the wall. Rows of tasks, deadlines, inspections, all tied together like gears in a machine. Harris: this job runs on a chain. If one link fails, the chain snaps. If you are late, the inspector cannot check the panel. If the inspector cannot check, drywallers cannot close walls. Painters cannot paint. One man's delay multiplies into wasted time and wasted money. Maria's eyes narrowed as she understood. Maria: so, punctuality is part of discipline. Harris: exactly. Punctuality, attendance, focus. Discipline means showing up ready every single day. The foreman entered then, his hard hat casting a shadow across his stern eyes. He carried authority like armor. Foreman: I've seen great electricians fired for refusing to follow rules. Talent does not excuse arrogance. Discipline means respecting the chain of command. He pointed to the schedule. Foreman: when I give an instruction, it is not a suggestion. It is an order in the chain, from supervisor to foreman to apprentice. That chain keeps the site alive. Break the chain and everything falls apart. Harris gestured to the apprentices' tool bags, messy and half open. Harris: even neatness is discipline. Clean bag means tools ready. A neat splice means fewer mistakes. Order in small things creates order in great things. Kevin frowned. Kevin: but isn't skill more important than rules? The foreman's eyes flashed. Foreman: a hidden wiring error caused by carelessness can burn down a house years later. Skill without discipline is a loaded gun. Silence. No one argued. Harris walked slowly before us, each word heavy as a hammer. Harris: discipline is also about safety. Ignore PPE, and you do not just break a rule. You risk your life. You risk your partner's life. One man's arrogance can kill a team. He handed me a helmet and gloves. Harris: tell me, apprentice, what is discipline on a job site? John: order, consistency, responsibility. Harris: correct. Not fear, not punishment. Discipline builds trust. Without trust, no crew survives. Maria asked the next question. Maria: what happens if someone is absent? Harris's: attendance is discipline. If you vanish, others carry your load. The schedule bends. Deadlines break. Attendance is respect for your team. The foreman raised his voice. Foreman: accountability is also discipline. If you make a mistake, you correct it. You do not hide it. A hidden fault is betrayal. A betrayal on a job site costs lives. We wrote in our notebooks, words etched as if with fire. Discipline equals punctuality. Attendance, safety, accountability, respect. Harris then gave us a test not of circuits, but of order. Harris: you will arrive tomorrow at 6:30 sharp. Tools ready, PPE on. We will begin immediately. Anyone late will feel the consequence. Kevin swallowed hard. For once, he looked serious. As the sun lowered, Harris gave his final reminder. Harris: every wire you strip, every screw you tighten shows your discipline. Neat work is disciplined work. Respectful teamwork is disciplined work. Discipline is the silent foundation of safety and success. That night I wrote in my book, without discipline, skill is wasted. Without trust, no project succeeds. Tomorrow, Harris said, we would face the test of conflict where respect and communication would be our only tools. The day began with tension in the air. Clouds hung heavy over the site, shadows stretching long across the half-built walls. Yesterday, Harris had drilled into us the meaning of discipline, punctuality, attendance, safety, respect. Today, he promised something different, the trial of conflict. We did not have to wait long. Evan arrived late, dust still on his boots, eyes defiant. The foreman's glare froze him in his tracks. "Foreman, late again," Kevin muttered. "Kevin, traffic." The foreman's voice was cold as steel. "Foreman, excuses are the refuge of the undisciplined." But Harris raised his hand, stopping the confrontation. "Harris, today's lesson is not just about rules. It is about how we handle each other when rules are broken." He turned to us. "Harris, conflict will find you. On every site, tempers rise. Mistakes spark anger. Disrespect destroys teams. You cannot face conflict. You cannot survive this trade." Maria whispered to me. "Maria, I can feel it already. Today won't be quiet." It began during wiring of a sub-panel. Maria measured conductors carefully, stripping exactly the right length. Kevin, impatient, rushed to land his wires. He over-tightened the lug, crushing strands. "Maria, stop. You're damaging it." Kevin snapped back. "Kevin, don't tell me what to do. I know my job." Harris's eyes narrowed. "Harris, enough. This is how conflict begins. Pride overrules respect. Now listen, discipline is not just about tools. It is about communication." The foreman stepped forward. "Foreman, apprentice, how should you have spoken to your partner?" Maria calmly, respectfully, without accusation. "Foreman, correct. And you, Kevin, how should you have responded?" Kevin lowered his head. "Kevin, by listening first. By checking before arguing." Harris, "Exactly. Respect is the oil that keeps the gears of a crew from grinding. Without it, sparks fly until fire consumes everything." Harris handed us a scenario sheet. "Harris, two apprentices disagree. One claims the conduit run is out of level. The other insists it is fine. Neither listens. The inspector is coming in 1 hour. What do you do?" The room went silent. "John, measure again. Together. Agree on facts, not pride." Maria, "And if disagreement continues, bring in the foreman before the inspector arrives." Kevin, "Admit if I was wrong. Fix it fast." Harris's voice cut sharp. "Harris, that is conflict resolution. Do not let pride delay the job. Use facts. Use respect. Use the chain of command." The real test came an hour later. We were tasked with running conduit across the ceiling. Kevin wanted to cut corners, skipping straps. Maria refused. "Maria, the code requires straps every 10 feet. This won't pass inspection." Kevin, "Inspector won't even look up there. We'll be fine." Maria, "That's reckless." Their voices grew louder. The crew stopped to watch. Tension hung heavy. Harris, "Enough. Here is the trial. Resolve this conflict now. Apprentice John, you mediate." My heart pounded. Harris had thrown me into the fire. "John, Kevin, why do you want to skip straps?" Kevin, "Faster, less work." Done. Maria, "Why insist on straps?" Maria, "Safety, code compliance." I thought quickly. "John, the code is non-negotiable. Safety cannot be sacrificed for speed." Kevin, "If we skip straps and fail inspection, we waste even more time. Respect the code, respect the team." Kevin clenched his fists, then slowly released them. Kevin, "Fine. Straps it is." Harris nodded. "Harris, that is how conflict is resolved. Listen, respect. Use facts, not anger." The foreman added his weight. "Foreman, remember, this conflict unresolved becomes poison. Poison kills crews." Harris turned conflict into a teaching storm, firing questions. "Harris, what is the first step in resolving conflict?" "John, listen." Harris, second. Respectfully, without insults. Harris, third. Kevin, "Use facts, not pride." Harris, "And if conflict remains?" John, "Use the chain of command. Bring in a supervisor." "Correct." The foreman raised his voice. "Foreman, apprentice, what is discipline and communication?" John, "Respect, clarity, honesty." Foreman, "And what is accountability?" Maria, "Owning mistakes, not hiding them." Foreman, "Good." Later, Harris gathered us near the panel. His voice was low but powerful. "Harris, respect is more than politeness. It is the foundation of trust. You may be skilled, but if you insult others, no one will want you on their crew. You may be fast, But if you refuse correction, you will fail inspections. Respect builds discipline. Discipline builds teams. Teams build success. He looked straight at Kevin. Harris, you are talented, but without respect, your talent is worthless. Kevin swallowed hard. For the first time, he nodded without argument. The day ended with silence heavier than drills or saws. We had not wired circuits or calculated loads, but the lesson cut deeper. Discipline was not just metal and numbers. It was people. It was respect. The foreman closed his clipboard with finality. Foreman, tomorrow you face the trial of trust, integrity, honesty, accountability. Break trust, and your career dies before it begins. The words struck like a hammer. Tomorrow would not test our hands nor our tempers, but our hearts. The morning broke with a stillness I had never felt before. No clang of conduit, no chatter of drills. Instead, Harris called us into the break room. A plain wooden table sat at the center, with only a notebook and a single lockout tag resting on it. He stood behind the table, arms crossed, his eyes serious. Harris spoke slowly, each word landing like a weight. Today we talk about trust. You can splice wires, torque breakers, calculate loads, even solve conflicts. But without trust, none of it matters. Trust is the foundation of this trade. Lose it once, and you may never earn it back. The foreman entered silent as a shadow, placed a coffee mug on the table, chipped at the rim. I've seen more careers ended by broken trust than by broken wires, he said. Inspector can forgive a crooked conduit if you fix it, but lie about your work, hide your mistakes, it ends you. Kevin shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Maria sat upright, her notebook ready. I felt the tension in my chest. This was no ordinary lesson. Harris set a scene. Imagine this. You wired a receptacle yesterday. Today the inspector finds a loose connection, asks who did it. What do you say? No one answered. The silence stretched. Finally, Maria spoke, her voice steady. You admit it. You take responsibility. Then you correct it. Harris nodded. Yes. Accountability is discipline. Hiding mistakes is betrayal. Kevin's voice was low. But what if admitting cost me the job? The foreman's eyes were cold. Better to lose a job than to lose your integrity. Lose your integrity and no one will ever hire you again. Trust is currency on a job site. Spend it wisely or go broke forever. I felt my pulse quicken. It was true. Every splice, every panel, every word we spoke was more than work. It was a promise. Harris walked around the table, placing the lockout tag into my hands. This tag says your name, your time, your responsibility. When you place it, you are telling everyone, this is my work. I stand by it. If something goes wrong, your name answers first. That is what accountability means. The lesson did not stay abstract for long. The foreman led us back into the training bay. A mock-up service panel stood open, wires waiting inside. He pointed to a breaker lug. One of you left this loose last night. Who? The room froze. My stomach twisted. I remembered being the last one near that panel. Before I could speak, Kevin blurted out, "It wasn't me." The foreman said nothing, only stared. Harris waited. The silence pressed down. My throat was dry, but I stepped forward. "It was me," I said. Torqued it, but clearly not enough. "I'll fix it now." Harris gave the faintest nod. The foreman's eyes softened, just a shade. "That is trust," he said. "You admitted the mistake. You own it. That is what keeps crews alive." I retightened the lug, this time steady, deliberate, checked it with the meter, logged it properly. Maria watched closely, and I caught her faint smile. Kevin said nothing. Later, Harris brought us back together. His voice carried no anger, only gravity. "You see, apprentices, trust is not built by perfection. It is built by honesty. Everyone makes mistakes. But if you hide them, you put lives at risk. If you admit them, you protect your crew. Inspectors respect honesty. Foremen respect honesty. Teams respect honesty." He turned to Kevin. "You said earlier that admitting might cost you your job, but hiding costs you something far greater, your reputation. Once lost, it will not return." Kevin looked down, ashamed. The foreman spoke again, his tone like iron. "I once worked with a man who hid a splice outside a junction box. When the inspector found it, the man swore it wasn't his. Months later, That same circuit caused a fire. That man never worked again in this city. Not because of the fire, but because of the lie. The room was silent. The weight of the story settled on our shoulders. Maria broke the silence. So trust is more than technical skill. It's moral skill. Harris's face softened. Exactly. Trust is not built with your hands. It is built with your choices. Every day you choose to be honest or you choose to lie. One path builds a career, the other destroys it. The foreman lifted the chipped mug again. See this? A broken mug still holds coffee. A broken word holds nothing. Don't let your word break. We returned to our benches, the day nearly done. Harris wasn't finished. He gave us one last test. Each of you will write a pledge, a single sentence. Your promise as an electrician, Maria wrote quickly. I will respect code, my crew, and the lives who depend on my work. Kevin hesitated, then scribbled. No matter the cost. I pressed my pencil to the page, my heart heavy but clear. I will build with integrity so that every circuit I touch carries not just power, but trust. Harris collected the papers, folded them, and tucked them into his notebook. These are not just words, they are your foundation. Forget them, and nothing you build will stand. The foreman ended with finality. Discipline gave you order. Conflict gave you respect. Today gave you trust. Without these, you are nothing but a man with tools. With them, you are electricians. We stood together in silence, not as scattered apprentices, but as something closer to a crew. The lesson had shifted something in all of us. As the sun sank behind the site, Harris gave one last hint of what was to come. Tomorrow, a new trial awaits. Not in panels or wires, but in motors and machines. Power that moves. Power that breathes. Prepare yourselves. I closed my notebook, the words of my pledge burning in my mind. Trust. The invisible wire binding us all. Stronger than copper, harder than steel.